Now this is a little photo show of the last weekend that just went by. We had Ray Straub up from Florida visiting us, and we got to do a few interesting things. Number one, we got to ride the TZs, both of the TZs, mine, and now the two that he bought from Luciano, all with the Kenny Roberts paint job and some of the custom carbon fiber parts I've made. But we were real happy to see these stay in the family. Ray, of course, is a lifelong friend, and we visited him last time in '09 down in Bike Week and got to ride what was then Tim's RD. Now it's a restored RD for Tim. So now Ray actually has 3 in his family. And we really did enjoy the time we spent. Luciano did all of the mechanical work, and I basically did the cosmetic, the paint, making the seats, some of the other work. So now it was time, and we really wanted to go up to Perkins and try to have a fun day. Show them off to the other guys that appreciate these old bikes. Mine, of course, I ride on a regular basis, so it's always ready to go. We're always ready to put another hole in a piston whenever we feel like it. In fact, we're running out of pistons. We only have 4 left. So what we did, we got the RDs all ready to go, and at the end of this I have a little video of starting up the RD for the first time. The one Ray is buying from Luciano, or has already bought. Mine, of course, with the seat. Now this seat is made in 8 separate segments. They're all on YouTube for anybody interested in that kind of stuff, including the painting. But we always know, in my case, and I go way back to 7 years of racing RDs, there's just something about riding an RD on a nice day with your friends and smoking up, we call it smoke on a mountain. There's just something about it that's hard to describe to younger people or people that have never had a 2-stroke. And I got that nice little clock. You can see it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting ready to go here. Get all the premix. Ray's bike took 5 gallons of premix. And we were loading up the parts. Ray is taking the 2 RDs back to Florida, and he's taking some of the parts back. These are some of the spare parts Luciano's given him with the bike. And we got to see, now this is one of the spare engines for the Ducati that Luciano got, and he's putting together a, well, from whatever he's got. I know he's got extra barrels and pistons, and he's building up a nice inventory of Ducati parts. Now this is where it always gets fun. Whenever you have a 2-stroke, there's always something. There's always something different. There's always the smell of the 2-stroke oil. I don't know, the smell of gas. And there's always the well, in the case of this one, we thought we were going to go out for a very uneventful day. Well, it turned out to be anything but it certainly turned out to be a great adventure. And once we got up the mountain, we met up with Larry with his 999 Ducati. And some of the other friends we met up with up there. Basically, this day turned out to be a bike show. We call it Ray's Bike Show. And of course, whenever you have 2 of them together, and I did the paint on all of them, so it's real easy to take credit for this. But it really wasn't as easy as it looks designing up the paintwork, because the one in the foreground here is a GS 1100 tank, and it was difficult to get that Kenny Roberts look into that shape of a tank. You just can't paint the stripe across it. But again, when you're riding these together, and I don't know, there's Ray in the background and Larry, there's just something about it. Hard to describe. The smell, the fact that they wheelie like crazy. They handle like sports cars. don't have the power of modern bikes, of course, but when you're going on twisty back roads, they've got enough power to scare you to death. And it was good to see Larry up there. Now, usually we don't see Larry on the weekend, but because of his work schedule. But and we always do. We always look forward to linking up with some of our friends. That every week is somebody different. Every week we make new friends. Every week people throw us under the bus. And this is a gentleman that I have met several times. He's had the bike at Perkins, and we met him up on Eagle's Nest one day. And he had his 750 Honda there for the bike show. Larry taking some pictures of all this stuff. And he can be proud of this. This is a sweetheart of a bike. Here's Vince, of course, who has the same ability to restore these older bikes. He has an old BMW. This is an old Honda, even with the Comcast wheels. Paintwork's flawless. He's told us it runs real well. Well, yeah, it looks beautiful. I can't imagine that it doesn't run well. And I haven't really talked to him about the engine modifications, if any, that he has, but it is a great little cafe racer. And in keeping with the day, it just turned out to be a cafe racer day of sorts, and among other things. But it's a lot of fun to have an RD, but it's 10 times the fun to have two of them and go blasting down a mountain together. There's just something about it. Again, it's mysterious to me. I wish I knew how to put it in a jar and sell it. And of course, would have been nice. Didn't work out the way we were limited in our time this day because we had other things to do. But we would have liked to take a nice ride with the Honda, a nice cafe ride. Go down to Twisties. Some of our buddies with the Lotuses showed up, and we give them a hard time. I don't know why. They're really cool cars, but and Larry, of course, with his Ducati 999. So we decided that we were going to take a really aggressive ride on the way home. And what we normally do on a ride back is we switch bikes so that you would get to ride, Ray got to ride both of the RDs, I got to ride both of them, of course. And there actually is a third one that matches this one that you don't see in these pictures because we haven't picked it up yet. It's still in Luciano's garage. But this was truly a two-stroke day to remember. Absolutely two-stroke heaven. And I'm sure Ray will remember this for a long time to come. Because it turned out to be, and like it always does, every time you have a two-stroke, there's an adventure. And this day turned out to be an adventure too. Now, one of the things, my bike has been street-ridden many times. I've seized up both sides individually. So the motor really has two fresh pistons in it. Actually, if it was a triple, I probably would seize up the middle cylinder too. And Ray was monitoring a couple of little teething problems. One of the little washers on the petcock was dripping, I believe. I'm not sure. That was one of the things. Vince's bike. I think he said he had this for over 20 years. And of course the Cafe Honda. Always one of the stars of the show. Now, I had never seen this bike up there before, but it's an old GPZ, and obviously at this point unrestored. No idea if the guy wants to restore it or keep it as a rat bike, or apparently though. And we were by Ducati the other day, and like 20 bikes went by, and every one of them looked like this. So maybe there's guys that are into the rat bike look. I don't know, and I'm not. But this is funny. On the way home, we had some issues with the new bike, and it turned out that it was just a jetting issue. Now, Luciano had changed the exhaust pipes and gone with the recommendation of the guy that made the pipes, and I don't know his name, to put in this gigantic main jet, which was keeping it from running on top end the way it should, but we eventually got it straightened out. But as it always does, it always turns out to be an adventure. It's just... Now, fast forward to Sunday, our friend with the... Now, he couldn't make it Saturday, but he's done a lot of track days, and we enjoy interacting with him and talking about old RDs, but he shows up Sunday, one day too late. And we were riding the old West Cooley bike, so... And riding a West Cooley bike is kind of uneventful. Unlike a two-stroke, it just too reliable to be exciting. Anyway, an old Honda. And it always is a share. Here's another shot of the Yamaha. One of the bikes Luciano just sold in the course of selling some of the bikes that he's had for a long time. Luciano's Ducati, absolutely pristine, not a scratch on it. And I think, but I'm not sure, it still has the original tires that came with the bike. And I think the only modification to that Ducati is different handlebars. Now we were hoping Pokey would get to see this guy, and I think he did see him, but I'm not sure. This is one of the 014 Guzzies touring bike. Look how that engine tucks into the tank. That's pretty unique. And we're looking forward to seeing Pokey's Coppa d'Italia some more. We only saw it the one day. Chuck's KTM. Chuck's busy out running, winning dirt track races. And Mr. Chain Maintenance, Mr. Who Needs Chain Lube? What we mean. Another one of our friends. Now look at the muffler he just put on here. Now we were dying to hear this run. And I did get to hear it run. It's a lot louder than a stock muffler. It's got a nice deep, rumbly, growly kind of sound. Some of the Harley guys, we always like to look at their paintwork and Chuck, I think, getting ready to leave here. Not sure, but he's been a big help to me finding a lot of parts that were difficult to find, including the Renthal bars. Look at the front end of that Guzzi. Pretty cool. Front end of the 999. Now it's funny, when these bikes were out new, I remember reading magazines, everybody poo-pooed the styling. Nobody seemed to like it, and now they're collector bikes, so I don't know. And Jerry there, hanging out with another Ducati owner, and Luciano, of course. And Pokey's new Kawasaki dirt on-road, off-road bike. Another shot at a two-stroke just before he left. One of the older Ducatis. Look at the exhaust pipes on this. Now when I rode behind Luciano today, first time I rode behind the 999, it's so quiet you can't hear him shift, you can't hear him get on the gas, so it's sneaky. When he's in front of you, he can actually be on the gas for a second or two before you realize he's got the throttle wide open. The bike is really nice and quiet. I don't know if they're all that quiet. Here's Luciano's muffler, which obviously totally stock. And there's always some bike that we haven't seen before, somebody to ask questions to, somebody to give a hard time to. Chick's Bandit. And I get back to the house and I had to play this little video. This little video is of starting up the two-stroke. And you know, anybody that's been around two-strokes, this makes your blood boil. Anytime you can hear this sound, it's only a little, I think, less than a minute video here, but listen to the sound. It's unbelievable.
Recording this moment for posterity. Ray gets his first